Good morning. I'm John Talk, rector here at Emmanuel Episcopal Church, and we are beginning today a new Bible study. As you know, the past few weeks we've been looking at the Hebrew language and the prayers in the Psalms and the prayers in the Hebrew Testament. Beginning today and going forward for a few weeks, we're going to look at something a little bit different. And as a bit of a background to that, I want to remind you of a slogan. It's probably one of the catchiest slogans in the history of advertising. It was developed by a man named Earl Carter in 1980 for the United States Army. And it went, "Be all that you can be. Be all that you can be." And this really hit home for a lot of us. It really hit home every time I heard that. I wasn't reminded or tempted to join the United States Army, but rather I was reminded of my Christian faith. You see, I believe, and the church teaches, that one of our purposes, the purposes of you as an individual, the purpose of me as an individual, and us together as community, are to become more and more and more like the people that God has designed us to be. God had an image of you. God had an image of you from before the beginning of creation. God had an imagination for you, a plan for you, a hope and a desire for you and your happiness and your love. And our goal, or our job in this broken and bedeviled world that we have created, is to become more and more like the idea, the vision of God that God had for ourselves. That Emmanuel's goal is to become more and more like the congregation that God wants us to be, that God imagines us to be. In other words, we are called to be all that we can be. Now, there are two aspects to being all that we can be. There are two ways or two tools, two avenues that we take to achieving the goal of becoming who God envisions us to be. And the first is healing. We are broken and we call upon God to heal us, to restore us, to make us whole. We call on God to come into our broken relationships, into our frustrations, into our anger, into our job places. We call for healing, for forgiveness, for shalom, wholeness. But the second way is growth. Growth. And growth is different than healing. Healing restores what was, and growth builds what is to come. Growth is the way that we go from a seed to a seedling to a stalk of wheat to feeding the world. You and I are called to grow into the full nature of ourselves as children of God, as followers of Christ, as brothers and sisters. In the next few weeks, we're going to be taking a look at biblical stories of growth, of change, of becoming more like we were designed to be. I'm looking forward to seeing you on that journey. I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. And I pray that we can see each other as we are truly meant to be,